Hi everyone! So today I want to have a little play around, and I think I mentioned this in one of the previous videos that the way I work in my sketchbooks tends to be that, especially if I start a new one, I work on the right side and then leave the left blank because depending on what media I work in, especially if it's mixed media, some of the things can transfer to the other side. So basically I then go backwards after a little while. So you can see I'm about here in my sketchbook, and now I'm starting to go backwards and filling the other pages. So I've done it already with a few things like here. So this was the kind of like Christmas inspired botanical. There is a tutorial for that. And then I've done this one as well. I'll try to link everything up for you if it's already live. And then I want to fill up this page today. So the other reason why I like doing that aside for the reason I just told you is also because I like to have a beautifully composed 2 pages when I flip through my sketchbook. So what I tend to do is I tend to match the colors a little bit, and therefore you can see things work together when I look at them. To me that's quite satisfying, and I find it quite almost distressing. I mean, distressing is a big word, but you know, I find it not as pleasant to look at pages that don't work together, if that makes sense. So here again I kind of match the color palette to this page, although it's 2 completely different things, but they work together, if that makes sense. And so that's what I like to do. The other good thing about it is that if I really enjoy the color palette here or certain mediums, I can repeat them potentially here. So that's it really. The other thing I also will keep in mind that whatever I use on this page, I will try not to use something that would print. So for instance, this Stabilo all black has printed on here. So I will make sure not to use it on this side so that this illustration doesn't get ruined, and I can, for instance, scan it one day. That way I keep things kind of more in a controlled way. So today, as I have just explained, I will try to use a color palette that will sit well together with what's going on this page, and things that are unlikely to transfer. So what I want to do here is have a little play. I have picked out a few supplies. I might add or subtract depending on how I feel, but this is what I kind of set my mind to today. So I'm going to use the traditional watercolors, which is from my autumn watercolor palette, so 35 colors here. There's a video, if you're new to this channel, of me swatching every single color and telling you what it is if you are interested. Then I also want to use a more of a modern take on watercolors, which are these liquid watercolors by Ecoline. I absolutely love them, and I want to sit down and order a few more colors because I realized that I'm literally kind of going to that little corner on my desk where I have these watercolors sitting, and I want to pick out a burgundy or a pink or something along those lines, and I don't have those colors. So I really enjoy the actual watercolor and working with them, how they blend, how they merge with the traditional watercolors. They just work beautifully. So they are a stunning product, and I wouldn't mind having, like I said before, a whole trolley of them. So slowly I want to expand my collection with these babies. Okay, apart from that, I want to incorporate one of my latest addition to my art supplies, which I am absolutely in love with, are the Shiva oil sticks. So I have a nice little collection here. They are quite pricey, but they are really worth it. I love how they work. There are other things comparable to them, and I have tried already one which I thought was fairly comparable, but for me personally I prefer these. So okay, let's have a look. There's a video either coming or it's already out there comparing the Shiva paint sticks, the oil sticks, to the Sennelier ones. So, and then I also have the jelly roll in 10. in a white color, and I will see if I want to incorporate that. So what I want to do is create kind of windows. I'm thinking maybe 6 different windows, and just play around with patterns and things like that. Now something like that is a playtime. It's the creative time, it's the experimental time, it's the time where you discover things, but also this you can then be re-inspired. So you can go back to those little patterns you have created and create something else, which I already have an idea for, so I will explain everything as I go. I'm going to find a stable ink pen which is not water soluble, so I'm just going to do that and then come back and draw 6 squares, and then we'll start with that. Okay, so I've picked the Micron 05 because, you know, it's archival ink, and it's also great for when you want to keep things without sort of spreading and moving with water, so they're waterproof. So I'm going to just roughly sketch out squares, and I think I will go with a more of a how should I say, a sketchy look, because I don't want these to be like perfect, if that makes sense. And the sketchier the better. I can't do straight lines anyway, so that works in my favor. And then roughly down here. That's it. And then I want to do a video that you request. So if you want to write down, actually, let's be a bit more specific. So for Christmas, I want to do something like a specific Christmas orientated illustration, or something you could maybe make cards out of, something like that along those lines. What would you like me to create, like a tutorial? You know, it could be Christmas baubles, it could be, I don't know, something. So if you just write down in the comments, and if there's something that repeatedly mentioned, then I will gladly make a tutorial for you for that. All right, so we've done those 4 or 6 sketchy boxes, squares, and now I'm just gonna move things around on my desk so it makes more sense. I just have a few things too many. Okay, so water goes over here in case I will need it, and I know I will. So let's start with the first one. As a warm-up, I'm thinking I'm going to do nice and simple. I'm going to get my water ready, and let's see what brush I'd like to use here. Recently I have purchased the Neptune brushes by Princeton, and so I've been playing with them. They really are, they keep loads of water in, so possibly this paper is not optimal for it because it's a mixed media and it doesn't like too much water. So, but for this case I want to basically saturate this square, make it wet, and that's a great brush for it because it means the water won't dry out as fast if I would do it with another. So I can actually see that it's taking it pretty well, but I'm just going to go ahead and do a second layer like so. I will try to link everything down below for you, all the products that I'm using, so that it's more convenient. I'm going to start with yellow ochre, and just, you see where it's dry, like here, it's not really working very well. And I want to blend 2 colors. The other color I have is the pastel blue. These colors work beautifully together, which is something I obviously considered before. There we go. Wherever it blends, it becomes a green, so that's fine. Don't want it to be too bright blue, so that works quite beautifully. Okay, I like that. Next thing I want to do is actually, let's see, I have this other idea. I'm gonna do this square first. So the other idea I have is doing some sort of patterns, which is great because you have this pipette and it works beautifully with that. I'm going to stick to, or add a few more colors. So this is deep ochre now. First one I used was the same, the yellow ochre, and I'm just going to match the print. This is burnt sienna. Has to be like burnt sienna and yellow ochre have been two of my favorite colors this year. And let's go for that blue to connect the colors a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to put them in order. Yellow ochre again. Deep ochre. And I don't know if I have enough space here, but a bit of that. Okay. Now what I want to do is take my thirsty brush and pull the corners together like so. You know, like you do in those chocolates. And see what happens. I might add a bit of water and just play and see what happens, really. Blending them a little bit together. I want the pattern to still stay a little, like just be just about visible from underneath and blending together. So that's that. Now I'm going to do a bit of watercolor. The watercolor I want to do is, let's see, color wise, I want to do Goethite brown, which is here. So Goethite is brown ochre. It's beautiful. And I just want to play around and go into Tiger's Eye Genuine, which is a beautifully granulating color. Then Hematite brown. Oh, sorry, Hematite burnt Scarlet Genuine. I still need to get that violet Hematite. So I'm playing with a number of granulating colors here. They tend to look beautiful when you use water. The more water you use, the more beautiful they look. So I'm just thinking I'm having fun here. And that's it. A bit of wakening up of that Goethite, because it's a beautiful color. And a little bit more of that Tiger's Eye. I mean, it's a very faint light color, so you do need to help it a little if you're going to use it in combination with others. So I'm leaving it at that for now. And then maybe, just for fun, I'm thinking either Viridian or that one. Let's add a bit of... This is the Cobalt Turquoise. Let's see what happens. Just in a few areas where you can still see the paint is wet, so the color is going to merge a little. That's it. Just a little polka dot. Okay, next one. Another watercolor, let's say up here. I'll do watercolor up here. Okay. Lunar Red Rock. Is that a color that would work with this color scheme? Or Lunar Earth? Okay, let's do Lunar Earth and possibly Fuchsite Genuine. So Lunar Earth is super granulating again, and it would work beautifully with this color palette. Let me just pull it up for you a little. Right there, you can intensify it, you can water it out. This brush is great, but there's a downside to brushes that are very soft. When you pick up a brush, kind of the bristles sprinkle the color. That's one thing that always puts me off them, but other than that, they are beautiful. So a bit of shimmer and shine. Let's see what happens if they blend in together. And I'm going to use a bit more of the Sedona. Oh, sorry, the Lunar Earth. And while we're at it, why not adding the color that I have used most, evidently, which is the Viridian in this pan. There we go, that's more, has a bit more pizzazz to it. The Fuchsite Genuine is quite pale and could get potentially a bit more lost, so you need to pack it on if you want it. And then it's also different because it's got shimmer in there, so it's a different property altogether. I'm just going to build it up in some areas and see what happens if I touch it when it's already dry, like here. Okay, I like what's happening here. Yeah, that's quite pleasant. Okay, so we have then two windows here, which I want to do a bit of mixed media, and I think... Okay, let me add Burnt Bronzite Genuine, which is the fourth color from the end. So this one also has shimmers in there. It's not easy to pick up, so it does need to sit in a little bit of water. Possibly also not good for my tip, which I want to maintain in this brush, so I'll go for something a little bit more robust, like this brush here. I feel like you can do anything with it. Quill, Jackson's Quill brush. It has harder bristles and you can literally rub things with it. And there you go. So it's a very light color, but I think I'm just going to create a background with it because I'm intending to do this square in mixed media and add those shiver paint sticks. And then I have a bit of that gold here. This is the Holbein Brilliant Gold, and it's actually a gouache. It behaves very similar to watercolor. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of this. Maybe actually move it into, and that's it. A very subtle background. And then maybe here I'll use watercolor and the Ecoline together. Let me just think of a color combination. Rembrandt Burnt Sienna works well, I think. Yeah, that's a pretty color. So I still have a bit of that gold from the gouache, which is now traveled into here. So, okay. While this is wet, I will take the Ecoline and just have a bit of fun here. Like that. Connect the two. And what else do I want? Maybe a bit of yellow ochre as well into there. Why not? Just a little. Okay, so that's that. So these are our backgrounds done. And what I would do now is just think of what to do with them. So how would I like to incorporate things? What would I like to do, etc. So the next thing is I don't want to merge anything else. I want them to be dry, and then on top of it, introduce another medium. So let's wait for them to fully dry and then I'll come back.